Our audience. This is Both Sides Now, and I'm Jane Stahl.
And I'm Yergs.
And we're so happy to be here. It's a really beautiful Monday here in Pennsylvania. How is it in Florida?
Same. Nice weekend, too. We're getting,
Mm-hmm.
I love where I'm at on the water. As I look east, I've got the Gulf to my back
Yep.
and the whole rest of Florida to the front,
Yep.
which is actually, I would actually be sitting to look east. I would be in my backyard looking across the canal and then across the rest of the state of Florida.
Nice.
We have what my neighbor and I call Hurricane Alley. Uh, it's we can sit in the backyard in 85 degrees and sunny,
Mm-hmm.
and we watch these massive thunderstorms go up the
Oh,
coast. It's they're basically right over the Florida Turnpike and
okay.
75, which is
75. Yep.
yeah. So they're the two major highways that go north south on the west side of the peninsula,
Mm-hmm.
and on the east side is 95 and US 1.
Right.
And they basically go up between the turnpike. It goes turnpike, 75, Orlando, which is smack dab in the middle. And then I think one is more inland and 95 is more coastal. I don't know that for sure, though.
Yeah, I think it's the other way. At least Route
Okay.
1 up in our area and New England is more coast-like, and 95 is a little bit inward. Not much, but
Okay.
still.
Okay.
Yeah. At least
So
that's my
in
experience.
between going with that setup, and between like the turnpike and 75, and then 95 or even perhaps the Atlantic, these huge thunderstorms go north up the coast and up
Wow.
the peninsula that don't touch us.
Wow.
And we don't get thunderstorms. We do. But we can just sit in the backyard with a cocktail and just watch the lightning show.
Wow.
And it actually comes from our south too, like from on the water, but it
Right.
it misses us.
But you've
And
had some hurricane action.
oh, we got a lot, but we don't get it. Um, like last year when we got hit by Adalia,
Mm-hmm.
we did not get hit by Adalia. It was
Ah,
only because she was so big
big.
that
Gotcha.
what a hurricane is, it's a low pressure system, meaning that the air is closer to the earth than up in the sky. And when it does that, think if you have your kitchen sink filled with water.
Mm-hmm.
You take like a saucer and you just press down into the water. It's still floating.
Mm-hmm.
And you just place water up the sides of your.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That's what a low pressure system does, and that's why we got flooding.
Thank you
Because,
for that visualization.
yeah,
That was really helpful.
yeah, that saucer was a plate,
Yeah,
and
I understand.
to
Yeah,
push. Yeah, yeah,
that's
she was.
good. That's good. That really translates to to my brain,
Yeah,
my unique brain.
yeah. And then the other thing about hurricanes, tropical storms, and low pressure systems in general in the northern hemisphere, they rotate counterclockwise.
Okay.
Uh, 2 years ago, 2 seasons ago, almost 2 years ago, 23 months ago, when Ian came through,
Mm-hmm.
we were watching it on the news because it was hitting about 2 hour drive south of us, down like Naples, Fort Myers, that area.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I was at my neighbor's. We were watching it on the news, and I stepped out onto their back patio to take a phone call. It was on for about 15 minutes. And during that time, I watched the clouds that would be to my northeast, up at like a 1 o'clock position,
Okay.
rotate all the way left counterclockwise to about an 8 or 9 o'clock position.
Wow.
That's how fast that thing was spinning. That's
Wow.
that's probably 400 or 500 miles that
Mm-hmm.
it's traveling in 15 minutes.
That's quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so what are
Oh,
we about to talk about today? There are
well,
political things we can discuss. There might be personal things that we can discuss. I was tempted to take the next topics card and make you talk about it. Let's
okay.
do that for fun first, okay?
Yeah, let's
All
do
right.
it.
The
Yep.
topics card. How much physical contact do you have with others? Hugs, handshakes, pats on the back, anything else?
This is going to sound depressing and pathetic.
Well, no, let's talk about it in general terms. For example, my response would be I used to be, not so much anymore, but I used to be a hugger. I was a toucher, and if I saw you, I'd want to hug you right away. And during our conversation, I might touch your arm. I mean, that kind of thing. But I have learned since I've been involved with Studio B, and I don't know if it has anything to do with artists. I don't know. But I have learned as a result of some of the people I've met in Studio B that most people hate that, and they are, don't touch me, don't come close. I mean, my husband's that way. He was never a toucher, not affectionate, he grew up that way. And I figured he was the unusual one. But I have come to find out, I think, that I am. And so I've become way less in terms of touchy-feely. Don't do that anymore. How about you? So that's my testimony.
No, I'm a hugger too.
Are you?
And like for guys, it would be like the bro hug.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you do that
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and pull it in and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, my parents were great parents, and they still are great parents. And while they taught me so much about manners and such,
Mhm.
who I really learned more professional but still casual manners from
Mhm.
Gordon Ramsay.
What?
I'm glad I'm glad I said that before you took a sip
Talk.
of your drink.
Explain that.
Watching not as much Kitchen Nightmares because that's where he goes off on both of them. But I guess at the end of Kitchen Nightmares, when everybody's friendly and he's done chewing out the shitty restaurant owner,
Mhm.
but definitely on Hell's Kitchen, the competition one.
Uh-huh.
Whenever they have Jane Stahl, the editor of Food Magazine, come
Okay.
to the competition, he'll come up to you and give you a hug and a kiss on each cheek.
Uh-huh.
Very gentlemanly like.
Uh-huh.
Now here's the guy that drops the F bomb at people in the middle of a restaurant that
Ah.
his guests can hear, being such a gentleman to in other times. And I think there's probably a certain level of he's on their level.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
He does it when the student or
I get it. Yep.
female
Yep,
chefs
yep.
come into the kitchen. He doesn't do that to them. Uh,
Right.
they're his employees of sorts.
There are two sides, as it were.
Yeah,
Both sides. There
yeah,
are two sides. Yeah.
exactly.
And there we are.
And I probably do that to the neighbor ladies.
Yeah.
Nan next door, Eileen, who lives in a town down the road, but she's over quite a bit. And Nan's mom, definitely Nan's mom, and of course my own mom. But and I gave you the hug, and was it
Yeah.
Thanksgiving? I think I was there
Yep, 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 yep,
this
yep.
year,
Yeah.
and
It's really
Christmas.
interesting though. And what about Zach? What do you notice about Zach? Is
Um,
he a hugger?
no,
No.
that's me. He is to his girlfriend.
Well, that's different.
Yeah.
Hello. No, Amy isn't either. She, much like her father, hands off. And I remember when I first met Jeff, when I just birthed Jeff, I mean, he snuggled right into my neck. and it was so much different than what I remember when Amy was first born. I mean, I could
Totally.
tell the difference between them immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately. So it's really it's just fascinating. There is no stigma, there's no judgment involved. It's just fascinating to me how
Just
people are
different.
wired differently. It's
Yeah.
so fascinating. So that's my
Yeah.
story for the day. Thank you for letting me share.
Well, yeah. Which one's older?
Amy.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but um, in a more literal, like what is happening for me right now,
Okay.
I'm here in this studio all day. I'm
Ooh.
forcing myself. I'll tell you a really funny story that you're gonna giggle seriously at.
Oh, I love those.
Um, I'm forcing myself to get out of the house.
Mhm.
You know what I do?
What? Walk
I've
the
been
dog.
in the house for so long, and dealing with anxiety and depression and PTSD.
Ooh.
I haven't pulled the weeds in my front yard in months.
Uh-oh.
And one of my former neighbors, who's part of the clan, is visiting because Nan next door has hair day once a month. The stylist comes over, and all these ladies come and get their hair done, and guys too. She's cut my hair.
Mhm.
And Zach's, um, he parked in my driveway, and he says, "What is this, Guns N' Roses house?" Just welcome to the jungle. And so now I'm taking time away from the studio and just
To
going out
pull
15
weeds.
minutes at a shot. Yeah, pull weeds, get caught up. Zach and I
Yeah.
used to do it together, but he's into other things. When I was homeschooling him, he was
Yeah.
home often. Yeah, I'm not gonna make him. I will to an extent, a little bit, but not near as much as
Yeah.
before because he's
Right.
got way other things.
Right.
And
Right.
starts
Right.
financial aid. Some of that's coming to me. So
Yeah. So you're
he wants to
pulling
more,
weeds.
he wants to
That
keep more
that's
and do more here.
seriously, that for me, pulling weeds has always been a Zen type of activity for me. I
It's
mean,
time.
close to the earth, you're just doing something that's real natural, and it utilizes muscles in your body that you don't normally. Weeding
That's
is great. Doing dishes for me, same thing, very Zen.
I
And
hate this.
I can remember when the kids were little, I would offer them like a quarter if they would fill up a particular, little jar or container. We didn't have macadam in front of our garage. It was just stone, and the weeds would always come up and
Yeah.
look untidy. And so I would go out there and pull the weeds in front of the garage. And, when they come out and say, Mommy, I'm bored, I'd say, here you go. Here's a container. You fill this container with weeds. I give you a quarter for every container that you utilize. But what they learned instead was not to bother me while I was weeding. At least that's my memory. They may have different memories. I don't know.
So that's actually not my funny part.
Oh, the funny
Uh,
part. Yes, let's get to the funny part.
so I do that to get out and
Hmm.
to get away from here and want to come back in and get back to work kind of thing. But
Hmm.
also, I really love living here in general.
That's awesome.
And I got it. My front looks nasty. I mean, there's some of those weeds that are 2 feet tall,
Hmm.
and it's just been hard setting that time apart to do that. And I've been just wanting to get in here and get to work right away, first thing in the morning, and I'm here till late at night. And I'm going through what Howard Stern went through,
Hmm.
um, but not having anybody to hug in a romantic way. And I think that most physical contact I get is shaking hands
Hmm.
at networking events.
Hmm.
And that's it.
Hmm.
But the other going out thing, um, when I first moved here, I was grocery shopping at Walmart, and there's um, try to be nice, but I'm not going to be. This Florida locals, um, Southern Hicks,
Mhm.
husband and wife, I presume, came in and were holding hands walking through
Mm.
Walmart.
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, date night.
Walmart.
Yeah. Guess what I did yesterday?
You went to Walmart.
Just walked around Walmart and said, "What do I need? What am I missing?" And there was a dusk to dawn switch that blew for my outdoor
Mhm.
lighting. So I
Mhm.
got a new dusk to dawn switch.
Mhm.
You know, I got them during the Christmas holidays when they had them in
Mhm.
large
Yep. Yep.
quantities.
Yep. Yep.
I didn't know they kept them, you know, year round. But I found a small pile of them in the electronics department or the electrical department, and yeah, I got that replaced. Now the rest of my house is lit up at night. I got my mom's gonna laugh at this one. I got a timer outlet. You plug into a wall,
Mhm.
you plug an appliance into that. You set a timer, mostly for lights, I would think. Um, and the light goes on at evening, goes off before bed,
Mhm.
just like her parents had in their living room.
Mhm.
I have this tall lamp that's about 5 or 6 feet tall
Mhm.
in my dining room in the corner.
Mhm.
It's right by a window, so it kind of lights the window a little bit, just as the whole make look like somebody's home.
Gotcha.
And yeah, that's exactly what my mom and pop up had on 4th Street. So
Awesome.
that was the other thing that I bought.
Very good. Very good. Very good.
Wanted
Well,
to try a new type of or new flavor of cereal.
oh, what'd you try?
He's got Captain Crunch now. Um,
I
so
love
that
all
was
these details. Yeah.
my Walmart highlight of my day.
Well, that's honestly, it's so funny. You mentioned this. I mean, my physical therapist last week on Thursday said, "So, what are you doing this weekend?" And my response was, "As little as possible." And I thought to myself all weekend, that sounds so freaking lame, right? I mean, so lame. And I thought about sending her a photo of my backyard, which is really beautiful, as your mother can attest. And to explain to her, like, why would you want to go anywhere else except my backyard? Why would you want to do anything else except stay in my backyard? So I'm going to have to, when I see her tomorrow, I'm going to have to show her that photograph. I never did send the email, but I felt a need because I felt so lame. Isn't that awful? Anyway, but the point is, that I think appreciating simple things, and like I was talking to my friend Bob Wood yesterday, and his wife died about a year ago, Sandy Wood, whom you may have heard
Yep,
of or
yep,
remember.
yep.
Anyway, he's been struggling. He's been grieving, obviously, and he's living alone now. But he said,
Yeah.
to me the other day, he said, but he said, "I'm doing okay. I don't care. And if I need company, I'll go out, find some company, or go to Walmart and walk around." And what I did, it reminds me of during the pandemic when nobody was going anywhere. When I got a little cabin crazy, cabin fever, I would just get in the car and take a little ride. And by the time I got back, I was fine again. But sometimes you just, going to Walmart, looking around, finding this, that, and the other thing is just, it is almost enough for some of us who have a really low level or a low level of need for, what do you say? I can't think of the word. Low level of
Socialization.
need for activity or,
Socialization. Yeah.
yeah, something like that. I mean, people are different. People are different. And that's where we started with this topics card. People are different. They have different needs and so forth. But I realized that I was a little sensitive to looking lame. And that's a lesson for me. Anyway, so In that we explored that just a little bit. Do you want to move on to, your VP pick? Do you have an opinion at this point?
There's a third guy that
Oh,
I'm not familiar with, but it's down to Shapiro, um, the astronaut. Was it Mark Kelly?
Mark Kelly.
Is he
Mhm.
the astronaut? Yeah. And this third guy who I'm not sure who that is. Not knowing who that is, I'm I'm actually becoming a little less torn about Mark Kelly. Not that he would be bad, but if you take him out of the Senate,
Mhm.
the currently Democrat governor
Yep.
means a replacement who's probably also going to be a Democrat. And I'm not like pushing Democrat over Republican, but I'm anti MAGA
Right.
and also for balance.
Yep.
And that would be how did he explain it? Brian Tyler Cohen on YouTube does really good. He's more, as he says, progressive, liberal, but
Mhm.
he still knows his stuff. And so the Democratic governor would appoint a replacement in 2 years because he just got elected. Kelly just got
Kelly.
elected. Yeah.
Okay.
In 2 years, um, excuse me, there would be a special election, which is risk of losing the seat.
Right.
Then in another 2 years, that term is up. And so there would be another election.
Mhm.
Again, another risk of losing the seat.
Mhm.
If you don't pick Kelly, he's there for 4 more years.
Yeah.
He was elected
Yeah.
in 22
Yeah. That's
for
a
real.
lot. That's a heavy thing to consider, which makes Shapiro more attractive, although I hate to lose him as the Pennsylvania governor.
Yeah.
Um, but, you know, there are benefits to his, to that pick. And of course, I was watching our guy Pete over the weekend on various shows, and that would be so energizing, the two of them together. But I don't know that they'll go that way because people may not be happy with his what do you say?
Yeah. For that reason, he's already out.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
yeah.
So you
He's
know
already
what I mean.
out
Yeah.
of with being gay and
Which
with her.
I hate having that consideration matter.
It's a
It's just
reality.
so stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's very similar to people who are not happy even considering a woman president. I mean,
Yeah.
so there you go. So it's no different than that. Sadly, that's the state of affairs.
A mixed race who had to build up her reputation because her approval rating was lower than Biden's for most
Mhm.
of this term.
Right. 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 Right.
And
Right.
so
Right.
that's who you're going to reelect. And that's why I
Yeah.
said Biden should have never got out.
Mhm.
I mean, I know the campaign is going to suck, but
Mhm.
if he makes it through that, the 4 years he can do from the White House.
Mhm.
Everybody's accusing of doing the first 4 years from
Mhm. Exactly.
everybody else.
Exactly.
What's the difference?
Exactly. Exactly.
Things are better. Things are better.
Yep.
You're okay having
Anyway,
as a
yeah,
dick.
so it's been an interesting week. A lot of highs, lows are coming up, so that's the way that is.
Yeah. So for that VP, um, but then there's the other one that's already picked.
Yes. Oh God. I'm
Are these guys
sorry.
trying to
I'm
not get elected?
sorry. It's so talk about lame. I
Oh my
mean, I'm sorry. Yeah. 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 That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
So I'm hearing that they're already considering replacing him.
Who are you hearing that from? From
Just the
from
emails
wait, from
that
whom are you hearing that? I had to correct the grammar. I'm sorry.
yeah, yeah. Um,
You understand.
uh, I wasn't
Hey,
gonna judge, but
in my meeting, maybe we've talked about this already, but in my meeting, uh, in which I was involved before you and I started to talk today, I delivered by request, a lesson on the proper use of semicolons.
oh,
I was
with,
talking about I was talking about JD's book, you know,
but who's
and
who's your other semicolon expert?
who's my other
Susan.
well, she is learning, and she's
Yeah,
getting pretty good at it now, but she
yeah.
always asks me, "Did you notice how I used the semicolon? Was it correct?" And I just love that. But in my meeting today, I was talking about JD's ability to write, and he's really a very good writer, and he knows his grammar. Not that I had anything to do with it, except by osmosis and maybe genetics, but I don't remember that he and I ever had a lesson in grammar. But I was talking about him being a really good writer and recalling that, when I was teaching that, while I was correcting papers and so forth, I don't know how the subject came up, but I always used to tell the kids that for me, the mark of a well-educated writer was the proper use of a semicolon. And so both my kids made it their business to know how to use a semicolon correctly. And one of the people in my meeting today said, "So are you going to tell us how to use the semicolon correctly?" I said, "Are you serious? You really want to?" "Yes," she said, "I really want to know." And so I said, "Well, there are two. There are two reasons you would use a semicolon." And I had an opportunity to teach today. It was so much fun. I loved
Very
it.
nice.
Oh. Anyway, so I just had to throw that in, and I forget where we were going from there.
Well,
Sorry.
it was the physical touch, and
Yes.
I think that could be maybe he got it from, always cuddling at your neck. I
Right.
mean, you were holding him, yeah,
Right.
like a
Right.
burping
Right.
position.
Right. Right. But anyway, if we can talk just a minute or two, just as a shout out to anyone who listens to this program. I don't have permission to say this, so I may get scolded about it later, but his book is the first in a series of 5 that he's already written. The first one is 317 pages, and he shared with me a photo, and I said, "Is that a poster?" Because it looked like a poster of the title of what might be a book. And he said, "No, that's my book." And yesterday, when I was visiting with Bob Wood, he walks in with Ginger, which is always a pleasure. That he walks in with Ginger with this tome of 317 pages. And I thought, oh my God, I didn't know you were publishing. And that is a big deal for me because, I have published with Studio B 10 books of poetry and prose, but I can't do the publishing part. I can collect all the content, but I have never wanted to learn because I'm not very computer smart. I
Yeah.
have never wanted to learn how to do publishing, online publishing. And he managed to do this for himself, which really impresses me. Anyway, well, the message that I want to send out is he's looking for his book is not for everybody, for sure. But it is about religions. It's about spirituality in general. I mean, he quotes from the Book of the Dead, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, and the Christian Bible, and the Bhagavad Gita. So it contains information and I want to say arguments, but that's not quite the right word. Information from religion, from philosophy, and then he has quotes from musical pieces, all kinds of music, and
Wow.
literature and, physics and biology and all kinds of things that he's researched about what he terms his spiritual journey toward enlightenment. And I know not every it's, it's a little woo woo, a lot woo woo maybe, but it is based in all kinds of, like I say, philosophy and religion and, popular culture and, you know, and his own poetry. So it's just an amazing piece, but he's looking for people of like minds in a neurodivergent community to develop what is essentially a support group so that people who are bipolar, people who are autistic, people who are Asperger's, so they understand that they are not alone, and that while the DSM, the manual for that describes mental illness, that his mission is to decrease the stigma in that and to take away the whole idea that somehow if you are autistic or have Asperger's or bipolar or whatever, there's something mentally wrong with you, because he says a lot of those people are really, really smart people. Do they have the communication skills that some of the rest of us think is the only way to communicate? Maybe not. But then everybody is not a hugger like you and me. So everybody's different. Anyway, his book and his series of books is about that kind of thing. And if there's anybody out there, he's looking for like a nonprofit organization that is involved with neurodivergent people to be helpful to them in some way, because he thinks he can be helpful to people who feel estranged, to people who feel discriminated against, for people who feel like they are alone. He feels that he believes that he can reach out to them and help them develop to their best potential. That's it. Anyway, so if there's anybody out there,
I might have Marcella from Psycho and the Psychic.
there you go.
She's in groups like that,
There you go.
and um, she and her one daughter are both on. I think you talked about that.
We
We
have.
talked about that when you were on
We have. Yep.
with us. Um,
I call it on the
uh,
spectrum, and she's not happy with that labeling. So, and I understand that. And, yeah, she and Jeff probably would have similar ideas. Anyway, they should get connected. Maybe they
she
will. So there.
understands. She understands what you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
and why you think that, but
Mm-hmm.
it also takes away the importance of those who are really on the spectrum.
Mm-hmm. For example, in my meeting today, when I was talking about all this with my people and talking about Jeff's need to address the DSM and get rid of the stigma, one of my people, Amy Muzapapa, said,
Mhm.
yes, but that for some people, the kind that you have just mentioned, who are really having difficulty, it
Yeah,
takes away their ability to find support,
yeah,
funding, support. And I get that too. So, maybe Jeff and Marcella will get connected in some way. But I did mention to him, to JD, I did mention to him that, someday maybe he'd have some wisdom to share on one of your programs. So anyway, I
oh
don't
yeah.
know that he'll be in touch, but he might
It,
be.
it would be that one, and
Yeah.
yeah, I can.
Particularly when he has his entire series of books published
Yeah.
and available. And
How is he? How
yeah.
is he going about um, publishing this one?
How what?
How is he getting this one published?
Well, he on online publisher Lulu Press, which is an online publisher that we have used for our anthologies of poetry and prose through Studio B. So he's using that same publisher. Does he have funding for it? No. In fact, I just sent to him before you and I got on the air today. I just sent to him the possibility of writing a grant application through Berks County Community Foundation that
Mm.
funds entrepreneurs. And really, that's what his project is all about. So, anyway,
I
the
still,
answer,
miss-
the quick answer to your question is we don't know yet. So,
yeah, yeah, I still got
so
to get off my ass and look. I get these emails about grants and for Florida,
yes,
and
yes,
some of them have nothing to do with what I'm doing, but because it's all of them, it's all encompassing.
yep,
But I small business
yep,
communication,
yep, 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 yep,
arts,
yep,
whatever I can
yep, yep,
articulate.
yep, yep, yep. Well, in Berks County, as an individual, if you're doing something unique or that you need funding for creative wise through Pennsylvania Council on the Arts, and certainly writing is an art, so he would be eligible, I think, to to at least write the grant and see if he can get a couple $100 for publishing whatever it is he wants to publish. So anyway, there's that.
Very cool. Yeah, when I was home back in Thanksgiving,
Hmm.
I got to see everybody, and he came into Studio B.
Hmm.
We got talking about whatever it was we got talking about, and I got left behind in about 30 seconds.
Like I said, what he's
Wow.
doing is not for everybody.
He's
Not even
it's
for me.
not that he
Yeah.
didn't like it. It's just that, it's on a whole other level
Yes, it is. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
of like intelligence and thought
Yep.
process, and
Yep.
like,
Yeah.
dude, I can't keep up.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
That's
Yep.
good. That's
Yep.
good. That's great because you're right.
It's
There's an audience for him. You know,
well, I don't know where his
the
audience is,
same
and
as
I
ours.
don't know that
Maybe
he'll
we
ever
gotta,
find it, but
maybe
I
we gotta send him to who is that super fan we had when we first started, who admitted that we're not for him. Is it-
oh, Craig. Yes.
Maybe
Yes.
we can. Maybe he can
Yeah.
be a super fan once again.
Maybe. You never know. Yeah. You never know.
Not for
You
us,
never
but
know. Yeah. Yep. 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 There's also one of my favorite people in this area, Christina Leeson, operated the holistic center in this, pardon me, in this area. And she would read people's, for just as a general word, this is not totally correct, but she would read people's charts. She would read people's astrologies. She would take your birthday. She would take your phone number and intuit things
right.
about you based on that sixth sense, as it were. So I've been involved in that world and I have great respect for that. I don't understand it. I'm way too, left brained or fourth dimension or third dimension or whatever I am to get wholly into it. But I admire people who can put their lives on the line for it, which is really what JD has done.
I've had 2 or 3 readings from Marcella since I've known her.
Mm.
And then just 2 weeks ago, I had another
Ooh.
one on a Saturday night show that runs on New York's radio. So I wasn't even this, and actually I've never been in the same room with Marcella either. But what was so scary about that was this totally separate who does not know Marcella, who has no access to the readings that she gave me, pulled out the same thing.
No kidding. It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I just love it. I just love it. So, anyway, so that's pretty much it for this week. I'm kind of on vacation. I'm
Yeah, I was going to
inviting
ask you too.
I'm inviting friends over to my pool. I'm
Nice.
going out to lunch with friends and trying to plan as little as possible. Although tomorrow I'm meeting with someone that I met fairly recently. In fact, she was over at the pool with me on my deck a week or so ago, and she comes from an interesting place. She's a counselor, and yet and is in process of finishing up a book, and it has a lot of all this kind of stuff that we're talking about connected to it in some sort of way. She was diagnosed with some sort of cancer and they wanted to do some radical surgery on her. And she, at some point, says, "Nah, I'm not doing that. I'm going to fix myself by myself. I can gather my own energy and figure it out so that I can fix myself." So she kind of fired all her doctors and, and ended up doing that, fixing herself physically through her mental processes as
And
part of her. Yeah. So I'm meeting with her tomorrow. She's offered me a free session, whatever that means. She developed this whole graphic or this whole organizational chart that the title 777, that in her counseling practice, I believe, I'm making this up today. Next week when we talk, I can correct
get an
my
update.
assumptions. Okay. But this chart takes you into various levels of connectivity, of relationships, of communication, of compassion, and so forth. And perhaps what she does with this chart is say, okay, let's talk about this C. Let's talk about your connections, career wise, friendship wise, family wise, whatever. Is there anything going on there that may need some work? And I would guess that her sessions then with people would be delving into whatever aspect of that particular realm may need some work in one session. And maybe if you work that out for a number of sessions, maybe then you go on to another, another realm of some kind.
Right.
But I had asked her, when she was back at our place, I said, now she sent me the chart and I said, as a teacher, I would be interested in knowing how you utilize this in your counseling sessions. She said, well, why don't I give you an introductory free session? I said, okay, so I'm going to learn how she does this because it's all about teaching, right? So
Yeah.
anyway, that's tomorrow
Very-
after my physical therapy appointment. So
What are you in physical therapy for?
well, I have my physical therapist says I've got a lot of knots in my butt. So I have chronic
Okay.
pain in my lower back and chronic pain in my hip and a lot of limited motion in addition to the chronic pain, limited motion in my hip, my left hip, that somehow connects to my lower back. And when I saw her,
Yeah.
this was just a week ago, when I saw her a week ago and was getting an assessment of, she'll measure how I can move and how much range of motion I have and so forth and so on. And then she does a massage. And what she said is, you got a lot of knots in your butt. So anyway, we're working on that. So that's why I'm going. But I went since from May to July for my neck because I had some problems with
Yeah. I remember that.
with my neck. And then she graduated me, or I graduated from those sessions. And I said, okay, so now I want to work on my hip and lower back. She said, get a script from your doctor and we can do that. So I did. My doctor was very, very quick in sending the script. And so now I'm on my first week really of addressing those issues, which I'm really happy about. And the first time when I went for my assessment, and she did a massage and some what she calls heat and stim and a couple of exercises. I went back the next day. She said, so how are you? I said, noticeably better. I
Yeah.
could feel it right away. And so for the second session, then we did more exercises. And she warned me, she said, now you're going to be sore. And I was all weekend. Oh my God. But hopefully noticeably different will continue to significantly different. And maybe I will get some range of motion back and some strength back and lose some of the pain that follows me around all over. Okay. Thanks for
Cool.
asking.
Yeah. Yeah. So
That's my story.
because you got a script for it,
Yeah.
insurance is covering all that then?
Medicare. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Good.
Yes. Yep. So I'm really lucky that way. And hopefully by winter, I will be back And I know because I've been to physical therapy about this kind of stuff before, and I mean, had I continued with the exercises they gave me, I wouldn't be in this situation. But eh, I mm, need the appointment, I suppose, to get myself motivated to actually do what I'm supposed to be doing. I probably could have avoided all this, just so your audience knows if I'd done the
Yeah.
exercises I was taught to do. So there.
Yeah. I'm looking to get back to a sponsor of my other
Exactly.
shows.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, min, Monster
You
Mouse
sh
Fitness is
you
now
sh
Momentum Fitness and Wellness Center.
well, you should be able to barter.
Well, yeah, that's what we do.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we do.
That should work out. Anyway, I think we've been going on quite a while today.
Yeah.
I like this eStream program or Restream program because I can
It-
see how long we've been talking.
oh, it
So,
shows up on you too? Okay.
yeah.
I've
So,
been a guest on Restream, just a host. So I know what my dashboard looks like, but you don't have all the toys that I do.
yeah. Well, my
Yeah,
dashboard shows that we've been talking for
let's go with that.
46 minutes
Mm,
and 12 seconds.
I can get
So,
rid of
we'll
get
let
rid
our
of
listeners get back to their lives and you'll get back to your
that.
weeding at some point.
Yeah, yeah. I can
Sound
make
good?
this come up. Look at this.
All right.
There we go. There's a backdrop.
There you go. Oh, that's sexy.
Yeah,
Very sexy. I like that.
and there's just nothing. Well,
Now,
everybody.
one last thing. One last thing. We
Yeah,
talked about recording. We talked about going live, and my issue with being going live was that I couldn't commit to you to a certain day and a certain time. Like today, I had to
yeah.
push you off for an hour or so. So that's my only thing. I mean, other than that, I'm
Mm,
fine being live. Yep.
if you can do Monday, what is so up the
Well,
middle is going to start becoming more than just weekly, and it's actually going to work.
nice.
We're going to start with Thursday, then Wednesday. Wednesday's actually 2 hours, um,
Wow.
and then a Tuesday, and then eventually to Monday.
Okay.
What are if we switched our 11:30, 11:45 meeting to 1:30 all the time? Would that also still fit?
I think so. Yeah. I was
Or
trying
even
to,
actually,
while Paul was out of the
uh,
house, doing his thing on a Monday was the reason I chose Monday.
gotcha.
But it's yeah,
Which one does he get back?
depends. It
Uh,
depends if he's successful.
well,
But he
then
doesn't seem
we
to
can
mind.
do
So it's okay. So Monday, whatever, should be okay before four
we can do
o'clock. Yeah.
earlier, um, or we can actually because Monday's only an hour, so
Mhm.
we can do 12:15 also.
Yeah.
Or we
Well,
can do
I have a
actually,
meeting once a month at 12 o'clock. So
yeah, that's fine. But you can actually come on and we can do that second hour, our hour,
mhm.
live at noon or whenever you wanna join, and that'll just be the next hour of Up the Middle, and that'll be both sides now.
Okay, that works. I really like I like piggybacking. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think piggybacking is a smart thing. So
yeah.
yeah, I can go live. It's fine. Okay.
Alright, we'll talk about more of that this week, and I'll let you know when Monday
All right.
becomes active.
Meanwhile, I'm Jane Stahl,
And I'm Jurgs.
and this is
Both
Both
sides.
Sides Now. We almost did it. We almost
Well,
did it.
yeah, are we still going for at the same time
I
together?
have no idea. We
Yeah,
can talk more
yeah.
about that next time. Take
We'll
care.
definitely talk more about it. Alright, everybody. Thank you.
Bye bye.
See you again.